Hi, Marilyn Monroe reincarnated for real. And one thing I wanted to bring up is the overlay of past lifetimes, and really how interesting that is when we have skills in the next lifetime and we don't even realize that we're using them. So for me, it was production's the Marilyn Monroe time. So I find when I write for film and television in this time, I know a lot about different areas that, as a writer, helps me to make a better screenplay. So I see directors doing different shots that they're setting up. I see the different things that are happening with the different departments sometimes. And, by the time I'm finished writing, people have said to me, "How do you know so much about this business? Are you a producer or something?" And I said, "I'm not a producer." However, Marilyn Monroe in her last lifetime did do production, some production. So it has helped me immensely as a writer as well in this lifetime. And there's another overlay that Marilyn Monroe had from Queen Alexandra's life, her past lifetime prior, which was singing for the troops and not being super nervous in front of the audience because of appearing publicly with her husband before many, many people. All of those lifetimes, before you know it, they overlay and overlap onto one another, the experiences, the current one and the one before, in ways that you sit and sometimes you have information about things you didn't even study and you wonder where it came from, and all of a sudden when you need it, the great archivist, the soul, has all of this information that the spirit has jammed into our little brains here and into these lives, processing consciousness, and before you know it, we have the information coming forth from a previous lifetime that gives us heightened skills and much richer product or much better experience that we're able to produce and reality we're able to create because it is a lifetime where we are picking up again skills that we use that we love. And after all, Marilyn Monroe did die very young at 36. So it wasn't an old woman, and it was someone who loved very much the craft of film and television. And the karma, I found out what karma I had from that last lifetime, which is far less complex than some people may think. I had really all it was to decode the mind, to decode consciousness, which I did. I decoded the consciousness with the Blue Matrix Energetics offerings that I have, and that was 20 years of work to do. And every day I still find little things that I learn about our consciousness. So it's an ongoing evolution. And what I wanted to say is that I had a visual that I was given as a young girl, and it was sort of a disguise. I didn't know who it was at that time, but it was a plain woman with a greenish sweater and a brown skirt sitting in a plain room that looked like an office at a very plain desk. And she was sitting very intently and seriously contemplating the mind and how to solve and unlock the mind, not only to have full understanding of what causes any kind of mental derangement, but what actually gives you power over the mind to have a very powerful, strong mind. And this young person sitting there intently looking, reading these books, which were like these psychology books at that time, in this room, bland room. It was like a faded old postcard. Years and years and years later, I realized it was Marilyn Monroe with no makeup, wearing very plain drab clothes around the house, as a young woman sitting reading psychology books, wanting to know the answer to this. And it was something that repeatedly was given to me in this lifetime, the visual of it, because it was karma. It was karma for me because of losing my mind over the Kennedys and wanting so badly for one of them to marry me, not to be used, and not just to be some tabloid fling. And then when they didn't, I lost it over the phone and was raging. Then we had big fight and the murder. So I basically lost my head emotionally over the whole thing. And the whole situation escalated. So I wanted never to have that type of episode ever again in terms of allowing your emotions or an angry state to run uh, decisions to some sort of a catastrophe. In this lifetime, I've changed immensely. I really contemplate before I act. And that goes for any disagreements I've had with people. I'm a very fair person and communicate to the nth degree. And, some people haven't owned the karma that I did. They lose it, go berserk, go violent, whatever the hell their problem is, right? And usually it ends them up in some sort of terrible demise because there comes a lesson in the next lifetime where if they really want to, uh, if they really want to, well, they'll find out. Comes a lesson in the next lifetime, sometimes about what was not mastered about the self. And if they don't learn it in this one, they do it in the next one. So, uh, that's really it.